Good day, dear students, and welcome back to our class. Yesterday, we were looking at this chapter called Mrs. Addis, and we had seen that this is a story of this woman named Mrs. Addis, and the situation is such that there is this man that comes to her house late at night, and this man confesses to her that he has committed a crime. He tells her very openly that he shot a man, and he does not know whether that man had died of the bullet wound or not. And Mrs. Addis, because this man is her son's best friend, she allows this man to stay and hide in her kitchen shed. There's a shed in the kitchen room, and she makes him hide there. Okay, and it is also very clear to us that Mrs. Addis is not particularly fond of this man. This man's name is Peter Crouch. But she still entertains him and she still shelters him despite the fact that he's committed a crime, because she knows that her son is very fond of Peter Crouch, and if her son was in the house at that moment, he would have done the same thing. In the story, so far, the son is supposed to be at work. Her son's name is Tom, and we are told that Tom works at a farm, and it is late at night and he has still not come back home. Okay. So of course, Peter Crouch, his background story, he shot a man and there are keepers that are after him. They have come, they are trying to catch him, and he's trying to hide away from them and escape from this place called Sussex, where the story takes place, right? So in today's class, we're going to continue where stop, right, where Peter Crouch is hiding in the shed and he falls asleep because he's tired, and while he's asleep, he suddenly hears sounds of footsteps approaching the house, and he gets up with the sound because we are told that everything around that place was so loud because it was just a very calm and quiet and pitch dark night. So he hears the sound of the footsteps. Okay, so we are told here, for a moment his poor heart nearly choked him with its beating. So his heart is beating so fast that he almost died of how fast it was. Okay, they were the keepers. They had guessed where he was, with Mrs. Addis, his old friend's mother. He had been a fool to come to the cottage. Nearly losing his self-control, he shrank into the corner, shivering, half sobbing. But the footsteps went by. The next minute, Mrs. Addis stuck her head into the shed. Okay, so we know that he cannot really see much from the shed door. There are a few cracks in the shed door, but he is scared that the footsteps are of the keepers, and the keepers have found where he is hiding, because everybody in that particular place knows that Peter Crouch is a very good friend of Tom, and nobody likes him, but Tom is the only person in that village who likes Peter Crouch. So he thinks that, okay, the police know where I am hiding, so they have come directly here to see whether I am available and to see whether I am hiding here, and he's scared that they will catch him and take him away. Okay, so we are told that of course that does not happen, and the footsteps go by. There's no sound of footsteps. That means those guards are not around the place. And the next minute, Mrs. Addis stuck her head into the shed. So Mrs. Addis opens the shed door and she tells Peter Crouch something. She says, "That was the keepers," she said shortly. "I saw them go by. They had lanterns. Maybe it would be better if you slipped out now and went towards Kensington. You'd miss them that way and get over to Kent. There's a London train that comes from Tunbridge Wells at 10 tonight." Okay, so she tells him the truth. She says that, you know what, the keepers are around. They were right outside my house. I've seen them, and they're with lanterns. That means the search operation is on. They are actually looking for you. You are not simply doubting it. It's actually happening that they're looking for you. And she says, you know, it's a good idea if you just disappear. You don't stay in my house because they may just catch you here. So it's better if you go to Kensington. Kensington is a nearby town next to Sussex, where there is a train station. Okay, so she tells him, go to Kensington. Why go to Kensington? Because from Kensington you can take a train to go to Kent. Kent is another place. Okay, and from Kent there is a train that same night, okay, that will go to London. Okay, so she's giving him like an escape plan here. Okay, and she tells him it's better if you disappear. Otherwise, if you wait here, you have this risk of being caught. So he says, that would be fine for me, ma'am, but I haven't the price of a ticket on me. So very frankly, he tells her, I'm a poor person and your plan is really good and I could have used it, but I don't have any money to buy the ticket. So I will be caught without a ticket. If I travel without a ticket, there also I'll be caught. So it's not safe either. Okay. So we are told she went to one of the kitchen drawers. Here's 7 shillings. It'll be your fare to London and a bit over. So very kindly and generously she goes and she takes some money and she gives it to him and she says this money will be enough to buy you a ticket to go to London, and it's a little extra than that also. So if you want to eat something, you can do that as well. So for a moment he did not speak. Then he said, I don't know how to thank you, ma'am. And this is important because remember, he is well aware of the fact that Mrs. Addis has only entertained him because he is Tom's friend. Mrs. Addis herself does not really like him. Yet, by this time of the night, she has done 3 important things for him. First of all, she has given him a place to hide. Secondly, the police were right outside of her house, but she did not tell them that she was hiding a criminal in her own house. And thirdly, when he has no where to go and it's not safe for him to stay in her own house anymore, she gives him an escape plan, and not only that, she also gives him the money to fulfill that escape plan. And remember, she still does not really like him. So Peter Crouch is quite taken up by this act of kindness, that too by a woman who doesn't really like him. And he says, I don't know what to say and I don't know how to thank you. And of course, Mrs. Addis, she says, "Oh, you don't need to thank me. I'm doing it for Tom." She says, "Don't take it, too seriously. It's not for you. I'm doing it for Tom. I love my son so much, and I know that he loves you. So for his sake, I'm doing this for you." Okay. Then Peter Crouch, very genuinely, he says, "I hope you won't get into trouble because of this, because you know that if someone shelters a criminal, then that person is an accomplice. That person is part of, the crime there. Okay, because it's wrong to shelter a criminal, to allow them to hide in your house when you know that they've done something wrong." So he just genuinely wishes that she does not get into any trouble because she has helped him out. Then she says, "There isn't much fear. No one's ever likely to know you've been in this cottage. That's why I'd sooner you went before Tom came back, for maybe he'd bring a friend with him and that would make trouble." Okay, so she says, "Nothing to worry. I don't think anybody will ever doubt that you are hiding in my house, that too in my shed. But I cannot promise the future, because Tom will come back home within an hour's time and he has the tendency to sometimes get over a friend for dinner. So if he brings a friend, if Tom comes on his own, no problem. But if he brings a friend, then that friend can cause trouble for you and for everybody." Okay. So she says it's better before Tom comes, you leave and you go to cancel. She opened the door for him, but on the threshold they both stood still. For again, footsteps could be heard approaching, this time from the far south. Unfortunately for them, as they are right outside the door, they can hear footsteps again, and they know if there are footsteps at that time of the night, then it's mostly the guards. They are patrolling the area or they're searching for the criminal here. Okay, so it's not safe for him to come out of the house. Both of them will be in trouble, Mrs. Addis as well as Peter Crouch. Okay, so maybe it's Tom, said Mrs. Addis. Okay, so Mrs. Addis thinks, okay, maybe the footsteps are Tom. Tom, after all, is coming back to his house and he's coming back from work, so it could be him, not necessarily the guards. But Peter Crouch observes, he says, "There's more than one man there. I can hear voices." So I can hear voices, that means people are talking. So there's more than one person that is coming in this direction. Okay, so you'd better go back, she said shortly. "We'll wait till they've passed away." So she says, "You better go back to your hiding place. We'll wait till these people cross. We don't know who it is, but if there are more than 2 people there, then they are most probably the guards. So let's wait for them to pass away and then you can go and we can execute the plan." So with an unwilling shrug, he went back into the little dusty shed which he had come to hate, and she locked the door upon him. Okay, so he enters the shed again, and he doesn't like it there. He doesn't like sitting down there, but he has got no other option. So she locks the door, and they are all ready. Now the footsteps drew nearer. They came slowly and heavily this time. Now you have to pay attention to this. Somehow the footsteps are coming towards the house, but they are coming a little slowly and heavily, as if the people that are coming to this house are reluctant to come to this house. Okay, so let's see why this is. For a moment he thought they would pass also, but their momentary dulling was only the crossing of the strip of grass outside the door. So for a moment he cannot hear the footsteps, and it's because there's that patch of grass right outside the house, and because they're walking on that patch of grass, he cannot really hear the footsteps. That is Peter Crouch. From his shed he cannot hear the footsteps. Okay, then suddenly it becomes loud enough, and he knows that the people have come to Mrs. Addis's house, and mostly these people are the guards. The next minute there was a knock. It was not Tom then. So there is a knock at the door, and we are told that Peter Crouch knows that it is not Tom. Why? Because obviously the door is open, in the sense it is not locked. It is just shut. Okay, and if Peter Crouch, not Peter Crouch, if Tom wanted, or if it was Tom entering the house, he would not knock at the door because it is his own house. The very fact that someone has knocked at this door, that means it is somebody other than Tom. So all the more he is worried that it is the keepers. The keepers must have come. That's why they have knocked. Trembling with anxiety and curiosity, Peter Crouch put his eye to one of the numerous cracks in the door and looked through into the kitchen. He saw Mrs. Addis go to the cottage door, but before she could open it, a man came in quickly and shut it behind him. So through the small cracks on that shed door, Peter Crouch can see what's going on in the kitchen, and he sees that there is a knock on the door, and Mrs. Addis goes to open the door, but before she touches the door opens, and there is a man who enters, and quickly that man shuts the door behind him. Okay, now we are told that Crouch recognized Vidler. So Crouch knows who this man is who has entered the house and shut the door. So the man's name is Vidler. Who is Vidler? He is one of the keepers of the Scotney Castle, and he felt his hands and feet grow leaden cold. They knew where he was then. They had followed him. They had guessed he had taken refuge with Mrs. Addis. It was all up. He was not really hidden. There was no place for him to hide. Directly they opened the inner door, they would see him. Why couldn't he think of things better? Why wasn't he cleverer at looking after himself, like other men? His legs suddenly refused to support him, and he sat down on the pile of sacks. Okay, so these are all the thoughts that Peter Crouch has in his mind. It's a stream of thoughts that he has when he sees that this man that has entered the house is Vidler, who is one of the policemen, one of the guards of Scotney Castle. And if Vidler has come here, he knows that Vidler was also looking for him. Okay, so he says, okay, my game is up. I've finally been discovered. Everybody knows that I'm hiding here, and now they're going to take me to prison. They're going to punish me for shooting somebody. Okay, and with that fear, he almost collapses and he falls on the pile of sacks in the shed. The man in the kitchen seemed to have some difficulty in saying what he wanted to say to Mrs. Addis. Okay, now this is another second hint. The first hint, if you were very observant, was the fact that the footsteps approached to the cottage, to the house that Mrs. Addis lives in, but they approached rather slowly and heavily, as if the person coming or the people coming to the house did not really want to come to the house. That is one thing. Secondly, we are told that now Vidler was one of those people that were coming. So he was one of those people that were walking very slowly towards this house. And now that he has entered the house, he is also finding it very difficult to say. He wants to say something to Mrs. Addis, but he's finding it very difficult to say it. Okay. He stood before her silently twisting his cap. So he's so nervous that he has his police cap and he just takes it in his hand and is twisting it, is turning it, but he's not telling her why he has come there. Okay, or why he is behaving so oddly, why is he so quiet, right? So she says, Well, what is it? He says, I want to speak to you, ma'am. Peter Crouch listened, straining his ears, for his thudding heart nearly drowned the voices in the next room. So it's a slightly funny situation inside the shed because Peter Crouch is so scared that this is his time when he's finally going to be caught, that his heart is beating very fast and he can hear the sound of his own heartbeat. And he really has to strain himself to try and listen to the conversation that is going on in the kitchen. So he does that. So we are told, oh no, he was sure she would not give him away. So the only consolation he has is that he knew Mrs. Addis has been very kind to him because he is Tom's friend. And he knows that even if these people inquire with her, this woman will not tell them the truth that Peter Crouch is actually hiding in her own shed. Okay, so that much faith he has, even though the police have come right inside the house, he knows that she will not tell them the truth. If only for Peter's sake. She was a good sort, Mrs. Addis. So, for some reason he knew that she was a good lady, and maybe for her son's sake or whatever, but she's not going to tell everybody about the fact that she is hiding him. So anyway, we go back to the conversation between Vidler, who is the guard, and Mrs. Addis. Well, she said sharply as the man remained tongue-tied. Okay, so because Vidler tells her, I want to tell you something. So she says, yeah, tell me, I'm here, I'm listening, tell me. So Vidler says, I have brought you bad news, man. So now you understand why is it that he was hesitating all along to come to the house and to even speak to Mrs. Addis. He has got bad news. And what is that bad news? Anyway, the minute she hears those words, her expression changed. Because we know that when somebody comes to your house unannounced, and especially if it's the police and they tell you things like you've got bad news, then you know roughly where this is going. But anyway, let's continue. You're told, what? It isn't Tom, is it? Now, of course, Mrs. Addis does not have any other family other than her son, Tom. So if it's bad news, it has got to do with her family, right? And her only family is Tom. So the bad news is about Tom. So he's outside, said the keeper. So the keeper says, Tom is outside. And she says, what do you mean? If Tom is outside, why is he not entering the house? What is wrong? What is the problem? This is his house. And you are entering the house and you're telling me there is a problem. And you're telling me that Tom is outside. What is going on here? What do you mean? Said Mrs. Addis as she moved the door. Okay, so she's trying to open the door to see Tom, to see her son. And Vidler stops her. He says, don't, ma'am. Not till I've told you. Now, this is getting even more suspenseful. We don't know what's going on. This man is not even telling her what is wrong. Told me what? Oh, be quick, man, for mercy's sake. And she tried to push past him to the door. So she's trying to open the door, but this Vidler, he's strong enough, he stops her. He says, no, you can't open the door. I have to tell you something before you open the door and see what is outside. So then he finally opens up. Vidler tells her, there has been a row, a fight, okay, down by Cinder Wood. If it rings a bell, you know where this is going. There was a chap there snaring rabbits, and Tom was walking with the Boermans and me and old Crotch. We heard a noise, and there. It was too dark to see who it was, and directly he saw us and he made off. But we scared him and he let fly with his gun. Now, I'm sure you know what has happened. Okay, Cinderwood, you remember Peter Crouch had told Mrs. Addis that he was down at Cinderwood trying to get something to eat. Okay, and that is when he saw 4 guards in the dark night. Obviously, he couldn't see who it was, but he could just see that there were 4 men out there. And because there were 4 of them and he was only one, he shot at the 4 of them. So it hit one of them, but whether that person died or not, we are not sure. Now we have Vidler telling us that those 4 people was actually Vidler, that is one, Crotch, we're talking about the surname. So Crotch was the second person, and the Boermans, so it could be another friend of theirs, and Tom. Okay, so there were 4 of them in that place in Cinderwood. Okay. Then we are told we heard a noise there and it was too dark to see. So we are getting the other side of the story. Those four men were just there and they had seen this one man trying to steal rabbits. Snaring rabbits means stealing them in this place because Cinderwood was a private wood. Okay. And because he got scared, he thought that those four men were guards and they were going to come and catch him. He let off the gun. He let fly with the gun. Okay, that means he shot. Okay, and of course, if Vidler is telling her that he's got bad news and he's saying that Tom is outside but Tom refuses to come in, then you can understand that when Peter Crouch shot the gun, the bullet hit Tom. Okay, so we are told, she says, she understood it. She says, Tom, said Mrs. Addis, because obviously this is the second time she's listening to the same story and she knows that the person actually died of the injury and the person who died of that bullet wound was actually Tom. So we are told here, the keeper had forgotten his guard and before he could prevent her, she had flung open the door. So the keeper also was in a state of shock and he was so sad and he cannot take the situation that he lets go of that hold that he has on Mrs. Addis and she opens the door. She quickly opens the door. Okay. We are told here the men outside had evidently been waiting for the signal and they came in carrying something which they put down in the middle of the kitchen floor. So the men outside were all ready, they were holding the body and they just wanted a signal from Vidler. Okay, so now that the door was finally open, they knew that the news had been broken to the mother and they bring the body in, Tom's body, dead body, they bring it in and they keep it on the kitchen floor. So of course she knows that her son is dead, but she still says, "Is he dead?" asked Mrs. Addis without tears. She cannot even grapple the situation. She cannot even come to terms with what has happened and the fact that her only family, her son, has died. And how he has died? He has been shot by the very man whom she has been sheltering. Okay, and who happened to be Tom's best friend. That also. Okay, so we're told the men nodded. They could not find a dry voice like hers. So of course they're just saying, yes, your son is actually dead. And they had never heard a voice so dry, so empty of emotions as Mrs. Addis's voice at that very moment. Okay, we will stop right here for today's class, and in the next class we will see what does Mrs. Addis do now that she knows that her son, the only thing in the world that she cared about and that she loved more than anything else, is dead. And he's dead and he's killed by his best friend who was trying to steal something. Okay, what will she do? The police are there, the dead body is there, and also the criminal, the man responsible for all of this, they are all in that same house. But only Mrs. Addis is aware of what is going on. Only she knows the entire situation. So what will she do? That we will see in tomorrow's class. Thank you.